guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I have my very first ever Q&A video to share with you. I was so surprised when I realized that I have never done a Q&A video. I swear I thought I had, and I was looking back through my videos and I was like, oh my gosh, I have never done this before. I think at one point, like near the beginning of my channel, when I had only had a channel for like a year, I asked you guys if you wanted to see one and I didn't really get a response. So I was like, I'll just wait on that. And then I never came back around to it. So yeah, so that is what we are doing today. I did ask you guys both on my Twitter, and then I also put it in my community tab here on YouTube. And I think I brought it up on Snap as well, asking you guys for questions to answer in this video. So I'm gonna be going through all of your questions. Well, not all of them. There was a lot of like repeats or similar questions, but I'm gonna answer as many as I can here today. If I keep looking down, I'm looking at my phone to pull up the questions for me to answer. So let's go ahead and jump on in. Okay, so Jennifer asked me on Twitter, what was my first high-end makeup purchase, and then also first drugstore? Ooh, that is really hard. I didn't look at like any of these questions because I didn't want to have my answers like all too thought out or anything, but first high-end purchase, I am trying to think what that could have been. I honestly do not remember. That is so bad. I think it might have been the Lorac Pro palette. No, it couldn't have been that. I honestly do not remember, but I know it was heavily influenced by YouTube. I can tell you that for sure, because at the time that I started my channel, I was a very, very loyal to mostly drugstore. I did have a few high-end things. But I started picking up high-end stuff based on watching YouTube videos. You know what? I think it was the Hoola bronzer. I'm pretty sure it was. I think it was the Benefit Hoola bronzer. Now that I remembered back to then, to when I started my channel, because I did like a haul and showed you guys some things, and that was one of the things. So I think it was the Benefit Hoola bronzer. I'm gonna go with that. And then the first drugstore, I have no idea. I was probably 13 or 14 when I started wearing makeup. And so yeah, that was a real long time ago. And I just don't remember. My mom would purchase my makeup for me before I got a job, but once I got my first job working at McDonald's and I had a little bit of spending money, I loved going to our local Fred Meyer, and I would just wander through the beauty aisles. Most of the time I'd buy nail polish. I don't know why. I think it was because it was more affordable than the makeup. I was like, okay, I could buy a bottle of nail polish for like $1. So I would buy a lot of nail polish, but I love just wandering through and looking at everything. Kelsey wants to know that she says, I know you have 3 beautiful girls, but did you ever want a boy, or did my husband? Well, yeah, I mean, kind of. We always kind of thought about having a son, and when we had our second, Kira, I thought I was having a boy with her until I got, checked and they told me that it was a girl. I was like, are you sure? I swear if I'd like had the feeling that it was gonna be a boy, but I'm really happy with girls. I've always told everybody that I feel like God gave me girls for a reason. I connect really well with my daughters, and I don't know if I would be able to handle boys. I feel like boys are so hyper and so, I don't know, aggressive. I'm like, could I handle it? I'm sure I would learn how to, manage it, but I feel very grateful and blessed to have daughters. So yeah, I'm very much happy with it. My husband, obviously, he did want a son, and we thought about having a 4th to try, but we just decided that that was probably not a good idea, because if we kept trying, we might end up with 7 daughters. So anyway, I'm very grateful and really lucky to have 3 girls. So I'm very happy with that. Consuelo wants to know what kind of job or what field would I be in if I did not do YouTube? Well, you guys probably know I did used to work at Sephora, but if I wasn't doing YouTube and if I was ready to go back full-time, which my husband and I have talked about that, because once Lexi is done with kindergarten and doesn't need me as much when she's a little bit bigger, I have thought about going back full-time. Previously, you guys, if you've been watching my channel for years, you might know this, but I haven't talked about it in a while. I did used to work in the property management field. That's actually where my husband and I met, and I did get a question about that as well. We used to work for the same company in property management. So I started out as a leasing consultant, worked my way up, and was a property manager, and I actually did that for about 10 years. So I think most likely I would go back into that field or something similar. I have thought about getting a real estate license and selling real estate, or maybe just property management because I know it so well and I feel very confident in that field. So most likely it would be something like that, or really any like leadership roles. I feel like I have a lot of like background and strength in leadership. Like I mentioned, I was a property manager when I worked in property management, and I led some pretty large teams, and I really enjoyed doing that. It was a very satisfying, very fulfilling job. I led a lot of training classes and courses, and I enjoyed it. It was something that I enjoyed doing, and that's something I would consider going back to, or a similar type of job in the future. Emily wants to know if my girls are each 5 years apart on purpose. She says she's curious because she has boys and they are 6 years apart, and she finds the gap to be too significant. So it wasn't planned that way whatsoever. I always tell everybody, kind of in a joking way, kind of serious, that it took me 5 years to be ready to have kids again. I was very sick through pregnancies. I don't do pregnancy well. I'm not one of those women that's like glowing and bubbly and happy when they're pregnant. I got really sick. I had morning sickness for the first 4 months of all of my pregnancies. And when I say morning sickness, I mean I was vomiting every single day. And not just in the morning. I know they call it morning sickness, but it's throughout the day that you feel really sick. So it's like having the flu for 4 months. It's horrible. It's awful. So it took me a long time to even decide that I wanted more kids. After I had Aubrey, I was like, I can't do that again. That was so hard to go through. So it took me a long time to be ready. But then my older sister had a daughter, and her name's Esther. Hi, Esther, if you're watching this, she sometimes watches my videos. So she had a daughter, and as soon as she had her, ended up being her youngest daughter. As soon as she had her, I was like, I really want to have another one, and then she could be close in age to her cousin. So then we had Kira, and it was perfect because her and Esther are actually best friends. So it really was like divine. It was definitely planned that way. So that was why it took me so long. Plus I was at that time I was working in property management, and I was very focused on my career. So even though I had a daughter, I didn't think I could manage multiple children and my career, so that is why I waited so long. But then after I had Kira, I ended up leaving my career and doing part-time jobs. So I actually went into being a server for a long time. So I worked in the food industry for a while because the hours were so flexible and I could almost pick my own hours. So that's why I did that. But yeah, so that was the reason they were spread out so much. And then Lexi wasn't planned. So that's why she was spread out so much as well. I did actually, I haven't really talked about it, but when Kira was 2, we were pregnant and I lost that baby. So Kira and Lexi's gap was not intentional. It just kind of happened that way. And after the miscarriage, I didn't feel healthy enough to have a baby right away, both physically and emotionally. It took me a while to be ready again. So that is why they're all spread out so much. Life takes over, and things just happen, So it wasn't ever like, oh, I want to make sure they're all spread out, but there's benefits to it, and there are things to it that make it a little more challenging. Definitely it's nice having Aubrey so much older. She is now, she's actually gonna be 15 tomorrow, you guys. That kills me. So she is quite a bit older than the other two. So she's old enough now to babysit for short periods of time. So if I need to like run to the grocery store, she can watch her sisters. So that is definitely nice. That is one of the benefits of having them spread out. It also was really nice not having multiple children in diapers or in that toddler stage at the same time, or infant/toddler stage. That's the time of their life where I feel like they need you so heavily. I don't know how I would be able to juggle multiple children in that needy phase, you know what I mean? I think infancy to about the age 5, they're really heavily reliant on you for everything, for feeding them, for clothing them, for changing diapers, all of that. So I think it was nice having one of them completely moved through and potty trained and dressing themselves and, not completely taking care of themselves, but slightly more independent before the next one came along. That was definitely helpful. Also, if right before my older one started kindergarten, I would have a baby, if that makes sense. So when Aubrey was starting kindergarten, Kira was like 3 months old. And then when Kira started kindergarten, Lexi was about the same age. So that was nice for me because I love having children around. So I always had a little one to hang out with and to be my sidekick throughout the day. So yeah, that was always nice. And then the rough parts though is that they really just don't have much in common. Aubrey's 15, Kira's 10, Lexi's 5. So they don't really like doing the same things, and that makes it challenging. I have to almost force them to play with the youngest sometimes. I'll be like, Kira, you need an hour with Lexi, and then Aubrey, you need an hour with Lexi. And they always end up having fun when I make them play with her, but they don't ever think about doing it on their own. So that's challenging. It's definitely challenging, but I think when they get older, it won't be as big of a deal. I have a brother who's 5 years younger than me, and we had nothing in common growing up, but now we're much closer. So I don't think it'll be too bad, but I don't know that I would have planned it that way had I really sat and thought it out and planned my family in advance. Okay, I had a few people ask me how old I am. I feel like I tell you guys in almost every video, but in case you've missed it, I am 37 years old. I also have a question, what would I do if my girls wanted to enter the YouTube world? I highly encourage them to go after any dream that they have. And that's been one of the nicest or the most rewarding parts about doing this channel for me, is this was kind of a dream of mine that I really didn't think I would be successful at, and I just kind of did it anyway, and I hope that that encourages my daughters to do the same. Lexi does have a little tiny Barbie video channel where she only has 2 videos up, but she's always talking about wanting to put more videos up. I'll link it down below in case you wanted to check it out. But she just makes little Barbie videos, and she loves doing that. She loves watching Barbie videos, so she wanted to make her own channel, and I think that's really great, and I encouraged her to do so. I think Kira and Aubrey aren't as into the idea of it, but if someday they decide they want to have a channel, I would totally encourage them. Even though there are tough parts about YouTube, I've talked about this quite a bit as well, there are so many things that YouTube has given me that have really helped me grow as a person. So yeah, that is something I would definitely encourage them to do if they had a desire, but I'm not gonna push them to do it if they're not interested in it. I think that they need to follow their own dreams, and yeah, that's how I feel about that. All right, so those are most of the Twitter questions. I had a few more, but there are some that overlap, so I wanna go into my YouTube questions now because I had a lot on there as well. Okay, so Megan wants to know, what makeup brand will I not wear from the drugstore? And then also the same thing for high end. Okay, that's kind of a tricky question. I don't know if there's any brands that well, there are, okay. There are a couple brands that I don't wear for different reasons. So we'll start with Bare Minerals. Overall, I don't like the Bare Minerals brand. There are a couple products that I think are an exception, and I do have a couple products from them, but in general, I'm not really very intrigued by the brand. I don't really have an interest in their products. It's not that there's anything wrong with it, I just don't think they're for me. I feel like their whole idea behind their brand is that it's very natural makeup that looks like you're not wearing makeup, and that's not how I wear makeup. I like my makeup to be, I want the girl across the room to be looking at my makeup and come over and say, I love your makeup look. Oh my God. I literally just realized I have my sweater on backwards, and this is the second video I filmed like that. So if you guys noticed it, we're just gonna pretend that didn't happen. Okay, so yeah, Bare Minerals, and it's, like I said, it's nothing about the brand in particular, it's just not for me. I don't feel like they market it towards someone like me, and it's just not my kind of product. Now, the other brand, I don't like to bring up too much controversy on my channel, so I don't really talk about this brand because I feel like talking about it just brings more attention to the brand, but I don't believe in purchasing from Jeffree Star, and I will never purchase anything from Jeffree Star. And honestly, it's just totally because of some things he said and done in the past. And I can't really stand behind a brand that I just can't stand behind it, and I don't want to support it. So like I said, I don't like to talk about it because I just kind of prefer to stay away from that kind of drama. So yeah. Okay, so Skylar wants to know, how do I feel my transition from working at Sephora to working full-time YouTube is going, the pros and the cons. So I feel like I haven't been able to experience it fully yet, because after I left Sephora, I left like right at the beginning of November. It was like holidays were here, things got crazy with that. Then we got a new puppy, now we're moving, and there has been so much like changes in my life in the last 2 months that I don't feel like I've been able to really like get into a rhythm with wanting to do what I wanted to do. So what my whole plan was with working full-time doing YouTube, and I wanted to grow my other social media as well. I really wanted to have like a set work day where I took my kids to the bus, and then as soon as I got home, I got to work, and then I'd work until they get home from school, which would give me about 7 hours of work time. And I wanted to do that, obviously, Monday through Friday. Well, with everything going on in our life, it's just been a lot of chaos, and I haven't been able to devote that attention to it that I want to devote. So for that reason, I don't feel like I've been able to like fully immerse myself in it yet, and I really do want to. That was the main reason I left working at Sephora, is I really wanted to put more time into it. I wanted to be able to post more regularly on my Instagram and post more videos here. I have been posting more videos here, but I haven't been able to really spend the time working on them that I would like to. And my Instagram, I'm definitely not posting more on. I've probably been posting even less on there than I usually do. I also wanted to start a Facebook, which I did start. I'll link that down below for you. But I haven't really been posting regularly there either. So I just feel like I haven't gotten into my rhythm yet, but I definitely have high hopes. I think I can get there. I'm hoping once we settle into our new place that I'll have more time to dedicate to that. So Anna P wants to know, what's the first makeup I bought for my oldest daughter, for Aubrey. So when she started middle school, I think she was like 12 and a half when she started middle school, maybe 13. She must have been 12 and a half. I can't remember. Anyway, when she started middle school, I told her she could start wearing makeup. So I took her to MAC, actually, because we didn't have a Sephora near us in California where we were living, but we did have a MAC counter. So I took her to MAC, and I had them do a full makeover on her, and then I just bought her everything that they used on her. So she got like a whole set of MAC stuff. And she had gotten like a few hand-me-downs already at that point from me, like some lipsticks and some things that I didn't want, but yeah, that was the first thing. Also, as long as we're talking about Aubrey's makeup, real quick, I had talked to Aubrey because she wasn't involved with me in the Kids Buy My Makeup Challenge, but I've been trying to brainstorm some ideas to get her involved. And I asked her if she would like to do a Aubrey's makeup collection video, so like my 15-year-old daughter's makeup collection, and she seemed interested. So let me know if you guys would like to see that. I did do my mom's makeup collection video, and this would be similar, but with my oldest daughter. So if you guys would like to see that, let me know. Okay, so Megan wants to know if my husband will ever be on my channel doing like a challenge or something. He's been in a couple vlogs, but very briefly, and no, he will never do a challenge with me. He is, I don't want to say he's camera shy. He's not really camera shy, but he really does not want to be on camera. He doesn't want to be in the public eye that way, which I completely understand. Not everybody wants to have their own YouTube channel or be on someone else's YouTube channel. So he is not interested whatsoever, and I'm not going to push him to do it because it's not something that interests him. So you will probably not ever see him in a video. You might see a glimpse of him in a vlog. That's about as much as he would like to be on my channel. Alaya would like to know what influenced my passion for makeup. Oh, okay. Yeah, I can actually answer this pretty well. So when I was first starting middle school in 6th grade, I was 12, I was bullied quite a lot, and I was very depressed. And at the time, I wear glasses, and I wear contacts now, but I wear glasses, and my prescription is really thick, and they look like the magnifying glasses. And I just didn't take good care of myself at the time. It's that awkward stage, you know, when you're going through puberty and you don't really know what to do about it. So I had greasy hair. I kind of probably smelled. I didn't wear makeup. I had thick glasses. I didn't really put much like effort into the way that I dressed. And so I was just very awkward and very shy. And so I was an easy target for the bullies, and I did get bullied pretty bad. So after 6th grade year, I came home from school every day in tears. And I would go to my mom. Every day and I would just say, these girls are so mean. I don't know what to do. I just don't feel like I could go to school anymore. And her and I had talked about maybe having me homeschool for a while, and she was thinking about pulling me out for homeschool. And it was just a very rough year. But during the summer between 6th and 7th grade, my mom decided to take me for a makeover. So she took me to get my hair done, and I got my hair cut, and I had highlights put in. She took me to the eye doctor, and I got contacts, not just contacts, but she got me like 3 different pairs of colored contacts. So I had some purple ones and some green ones. And then she took me to a makeup counter, and I got my makeup done, and I got some new makeup. So that really gave me like a boost in my self-esteem, and I just felt better about myself because I don't know, it just made me feel like I had the opportunity to put the best foot forward. And I remember, I don't know if I've told you guys this story, but I remember it like it was yesterday. I remember my first day of 7th grade getting off the bus and walking towards like the main entrance of the building, and all of these different groups of people were standing around having little chats. And I remember the girl who was like the ringleader in bullying me, her name was Jessica. Never forget. I remember her turn around and see me and make a V line for me. And I remember the feeling, like my heart dropped, and I was like, what is she gonna say to me? And she walked up to me and she goes, "Are you new?" Because at this time, keep in mind, I had the makeover. I didn't have my glasses anymore. I was wearing makeup. My hair was done. And she's like, "Are you new? I can show you around. We can be friends." And I just remember thinking, oh my God, like, I can't even express it in words, like how that made me feel. It just made me feel like you have no idea who I am, first of all. You have no idea who I am, and how like fake is that you want to be my friend just because I look prettier now. So I just remember feeling like the power of makeup and how powerful it was. So that's like what first got me into makeup. Now I know that might sound like I needed makeup to make myself feel better, and it wasn't like that at all. It was more like, I don't know, it gave me the confidence that I never had previously. And over the years, I've learned to be confident without the makeup. I run to the store without makeup on all of the time, but my little fragile 14-year-old self, it was what really got me out of my shell was makeup, and just like, and taking the time to take better care of myself. I started showering more regularly. I started wearing deodorant every day. It wasn't just the makeup. It was just taking responsibility for taking care of myself. But that, I have to say, that experience with Jessica walking up to me and wanting to be my friend all of a sudden was so eye-opening. It just showed me how superficial some people were, and it showed me who I wanted to be friends with and who I didn't. So of course I was never friends with her. I said, in fact, I'm sure you guys are probably wondering what my reaction was. I said to her, "You don't remember me?" And she's like, looked at me like, "Should I remember you?" And like looked closer, and I was like, "My name's Lisa." And she looked again and she goes, "Oh my God, you're Lisa Walker?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Wow, you look so great." I'm like, "Yeah, thanks. Okay, bye." And I never talked to her again because I could see through her fakeness. So yeah, it just kind of showed me how fake some people. Okay, but enough of all the sad stories. Like, oh my gosh, you guys must think I'm a mess between that, the bullying, and Okay, let's move on. Okay, so unapologetically, Laura wants to know, how do I feel about the new YouTube partner program and where do I get ideas for my video from? She's got like 4 questions here. I'll start with those 2. So the YouTube partner program, if you guys didn't hear, they recently made some changes. So from what I can gather, I was trying to research it and see what were the changes, how are they gonna affect people. It looks like they changed the way they monetize videos. So it used to be you just had to have 1,000 subscribers to monetize your videos, and now you have to have 10,000 views. So that does make it a little harder for people, quite a bit harder for small channels to monetize. You know, how do I feel about it? So the way that I feel about this change is that if you're starting a YouTube channel to make money, you will probably never succeed on YouTube because you're not gonna make money on YouTube. Most likely, most people do not make money on YouTube for the first year, maybe even 2 years. I was probably, I wasn't making a steady income off of YouTube until at least 3 years into my channel. Before that, it was like maybe every 3 months I might get a $100 check. I mean, it was, in the beginning, I didn't make any money at all on YouTube for the first year. The second year, it was like every 3 months I'd get $100. The third year, it was like $100 a month, you know? So it was a really slow trickle in. And it is hard, but you have to think of it as a hobby, because if you're trying to think of it as a full-time job, it really isn't. Even with my channel the size that it is now and the views that I get now, if you broke down what hours I put in and what money I make from it, I'm probably making somewhere around $5 an hour. So it's not, don't think of it as a job. You just can't think of it as a job. And now I know that sounds weird coming from me, since I did just most recently quit my job to make this full time. But really, I quit my job to be home with my family more and to be like a stay-at-home mom, and then I'm doing YouTube as well. And I do obviously want to be successful on YouTube and be able to make a stream of income from my YouTube channel, but my expectations of what I'm making from YouTube are not high. I have a pretty low bar for what I'm expecting to make from this, and it's really just to supplement the income that my husband makes. So if you're thinking of YouTube as a money-making opportunity, I really wouldn't think of it like that. I would think of it like if you do a garage sale every once in a while. You don't think of that as like a huge income opportunity. It's really a way to get rid of stuff and make a little extra money. And that's kind of what YouTube is. It's a way to express yourself in a creative way and share your videos with people, make those connections and friendships with people, and get a little extra money. But it's really not a job. So that's what I would say about the changes. Yeah, they're making it a little harder to make money, but when your channel is only 1,000 subscribers, you're probably not making much money on your YouTube videos anyways. You're probably waiting several months to get even a check from YouTube. And then her second question was, where do I get my ideas for my videos from? A lot of them are inspired by my friends here on YouTube. I'll be 100% honest. I watch people's videos, and either I might make the same video, and I, obviously try to give credit whenever I can, but sometimes I'll see someone's idea and kind of make a spin-off of that and think of something similar that I could do to that video. A lot of times it is inspired by other people, and sometimes I will just be like brainstorming. I have a notebook where I write all my ideas down in, and I'll be just kind of brainstorming, and then I'm like, ooh, I really want to do that video. Like, the ideas will just kind of pop in my mind every once in a while. Sometimes it's while I'm doing my makeup and I'm like, oh, I should talk about this particular thing. It's just kind of random, just like any inspiration. It's just like, sometimes it just randomly hits you, like, or I'll see a new product and I'll want to talk about it, stuff like that. Hannah wants to know, what is the best season for my skin? Ooh, I don't know. Maybe the spring. Probably the spring, because it's not quite as dry as it gets in the winter, but it's not like super oily like it gets in the summertime. Okay, and then I got a ton of different people asking me for advice on growing a channel. So similar to what I just said, don't think of it as a job. You will get frustrated if you're like, I want to make this certain amount of money, and you're looking at your analytics and you're like, oh my gosh, I only have like $20 in my analytics for this month. I've only made $20 for this month, and I've been working my butt off posting videos every day. You cannot look at that number. You will get so frustrated. Just keep doing it. If you love doing it, then just keep doing it. If you don't love doing it, probably shouldn't keep doing it, because you're gonna get frustrated. But I think the biggest thing is just to remember why you're doing it, to think about what brought you to making YouTube videos. What do you want to get out of it besides the money? Because like I said, that's a small well. What do you want to get out of it? Do you want to make some friendships? Do you want to have a creative outlet where you can express your creativity? What is it that you're looking for? And just remember that when you're making your videos. I think of my filming time as kind of almost like therapy. I get to sit down and talk to people who have similar interests to me, and it's just fun. It's a fun way to take your mind off of the day-to-day stuff that can bog you down sometimes. Sometimes life can get a little stressful. Sometimes life can get a little mundane, and it's nice to have a creative outlet where you can just come and talk, and it's nice and it's fun, and that's why I like doing it. So I feel like that's the biggest advice I could give anybody, is just to remember why you're doing it and do it for those reasons. And if you are successful, then that's amazing, but just you can't really rely on that or to look at it too much. And you can't compare yourself to other people, because there were channels that started the same time as me that have blown up and they're huge now. And there's channels who have started the same time as me that aren't even around anymore, or have really small channels still. So channels grow at different paces, and you can't compare yourself to anyone else. You just have to be yourself. So, all right, I'm gonna do one more question. Jamie wants to know, how do I balance my love for wearing crazy colors and still look respectful for serious events? You know, that's kind of tricky. So when I worked at Sephora, I could pretty much wear whatever I wanted to work. It could be the craziest, boldest color and nobody cared. But when I worked back in my days working at property management, if I wore that to work, it would be highly inappropriate. So what I would say is that there are certain ways that you can pull off some color without being too over the top, like maybe just a pop of color on the inner corner, or a lot of times if you do just color on your lower lash line, that's not as bold. That would be a way to do it, or save your bold looks for the weekends or fun nights out with your husband, things like that. And then just keep like very neutral everyday work looks. It really depends on what work environment you work in and how flexible they are with you. But if you're not able to wear color at work at all, then I would save it for weekends and nights. Otherwise, I would try to incorporate it in a more subtle way. You can still do a very neutral look like what I have on today, and then just a little pop of color on the inner corner, or maybe a bold lip if they allow you to do that. Really just kind of working within the parameters that you have. But I usually save my fun looks for weekends or for like going out, stuff like that. So those are all the questions that I had time to answer for today. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this Q&A. I hope you learned a little bit more about me, and thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a fantastic day. I'll see you next time. Bye guys.